Let's configure a Alibre server for remote access within our network. Now, of course, this applies to people who are on, say, company Wi-Fi or company Ethernet that are on the same local network as the machine that is running this server. If people go home or leave the local network, then they won't be able to have access to the PDM server. You'll have to watch the video that is meant for configuring remote access for that. So this is for local access only. Let's install the PDM server. Again, we'll accept and install, and we'll allow access. And then we'll run the server. Now we're greeted with the management console, and this port here is 5000. It's for the port that we use to access the local machine. If it's all the same to you, it's just fine to leave it on 5000. Otherwise, feel free to make it whatever value you'd like to have. This is where our server data location will be, and by default it's in the app data local directory. This of course can be changed by using the browse button, but this seems to be a great location to keep server related files. We're able to start, and when we do, a Alibre safe is created. The safe is where we keep all of our files. It is unlikely that you'll ever need more than one safe, but in the off chance that you do, you can create another safe by clicking on this button and giving it a name. And we'll say OK. A new safe has been successfully created and is active. So these safes would be each their own different repositories to keep different files. If you wish to manage these safes, we can always deactivate safes. And then we have an inactive safe. But if we'd like to remove it entirely, you'll notice that if we right-click, Delete Safe is grayed out. We're unable to delete it because the server is running. We'll stop the server. And with the server stopped, we now have the options to delete safe, export its metadata, or back it up. So we'll delete the safe. And now with it removed, we can start our server once again. So that's how we can create and manage safes in our server management console. I'll minimize this, and if we wish to make further modifications, we can go into our system tray and see that the console is available with the Alibre icon in the system tray. Now if we want others to be able to access this safe, we will want to set it up for remote access. We'll need to work on our users next. So we'll go into Settings. And in Windows Settings, I'll note the name of my desktop PC. This is Alibre_Joseph, that's the PC's name. And we'll use that for later. Next, we'll go to Accounts. And I'll go into Other Users. Here I have a list of users, but let's add another user. We'll click on Add Account, and we'll say I don't have this person's sign-in information. Next. Next, we'll say add a user without a Microsoft account. And I'll name this person Alibre_user. We'll give them a password. And then we'll fill out the security questions. And click Next. Now with our new Alibre user local account, we should be ready for people to log into the server. Now if the router resets or anything like that, we may have different IP addresses when it comes back on. We don't want users to have to type in a new IP address every time that happens, so let's make sure that we have a static IP address. In Settings, I'll go to Network and Internet, and we'll head down to Advanced Network Settings. Here we can see the various connections that we have. I'm connected on Ethernet. And so I'll choose the Ethernet that I'm on. And we'll go to Edit More Adapter Options. This window comes up here. And I'll look at my Internet Protocol version 4. Now we may also wish to know what our internal IP address is, and so we can know to leave that one the same. If we don't know this device's IP address, we can open up a Windows command prompt. So I'll hit my super key and search for CMD and select command prompt here. I'll type in ipconfig, and then a lot of information comes up. I'll find where I have my Ethernet adapter because I'm on Ethernet, and I can see for this network that I'm at 192.168.1.212. I can also see my subnet mask and my default gateway. So we'll go to our properties of our Internet Protocol version 4, and we'll be sure to use the following IP address, and I'll copy the values, 192.168.1.212, and then my subnet mask and my default gateway. I'll enter both of these values from what we just found in our Windows terminal. And then my preferred DNS server, I'll simply set that as 8888. That's a common one to use. It's Google DNS. We'll say OK. And now we can close. Now that we have a static internal IP address and we have the user account set up, and we will create a user account for every user that wishes to access our Alibre server, I can close my windows and I can go onto a machine on the same local network to access my Alibre server. Again, we'll confirm that Alibre server is still running, and it still is. So this is Alibre Safe that we'll be connecting to. So this is a machine on the same local network as our Alibre server device, and I'll start by opening the PDM browser. I'll want to connect to a new safe, and I'll do so by clicking on this button, Connect to Safe. I'll want to start a new connection, and here I can type in my local IP address. I'll say http://192.168.1.212, and then I'll do a colon and say 5000 on port 5000. We'll specify credentials, and we'll use my desktop name. That's the one that I wanted to note and save for later. And then we'll say the new user. And we'll type in their password. And we'll connect. And here we've been able to successfully connect to our safe locally. So we've been able to set up the Alibre server on one machine, and now we've been able to use Alibre to connect to it on another within the same local network. Again, if you leave the local network, this will no longer work, so be sure to follow the instructions for remote connections if you'd like to connect, say, from home or somewhere else.